Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Glasgow Derby is approaching and it's 12 o'clock tomorrow. Keith here from Come On The Hoops. This is your first time coming across the channel. Like and subscribe below, be really appreciated as we're closing in that 19,000 subs. Sooner the better. But we're here to talk about the champions. As you hear in the video, the champions. But if you want to be champions, you got to put a marker down going into next season and saying, you know what, we beat Rangers in the opening derby game at the start of the season, 3-0. We beat them in the League Cup and penalties. We were brutal that day in the League Cup. You can see the 3 goals. It was a phenomenal final to watch. If you were neutral, you would have absolutely loved it. But the emotions of that final was unbelievable. Then we went playing them. And I think a lot of us went into the New Year's derby very, very cocky because they had an injury list the length of my arm. They were in a bit of turmoil with Philippe Clement. You know, they were struggling, and we went in expecting to get the victory handed to us, that we're going to, you know, steamroll the game. Before Christmas, we were like, this league is done and dusted. We're playing phenomenal football. People were putting that Celtic team up with Martin O'Neill's team the way we were steamrolling teams. And Rangers gave it to us. They were a better team that day. They scored early enough. Raskin did. You know, they hit the crossbar in the first half, second half. They scored them goals, and then they hit the frame as well. At the end of the day, Liam Scales was bad that day. The whole team as a collective were absolutely shocking. And it's about revenge. It's about putting that marker down. It's about showing, you know what, they've dropped so many points. We're 17 points clear. We've cemented the league. But it's not about getting complacent. We have to win this game tomorrow. Because if we don't win this game tomorrow and they beat us, what's going to happen is they're going to turn around and say, oh, well, you know what, we've beaten you 3 games in 2025. We're coming for you next season. We're going to get this takeover. Barry's going to be at the helm in some capacity. Barry's going to have them up for tomorrow. No question of doubt. Barry will have them up for tomorrow. He wants to get that job in some capacity or be around that club. And Brendan Rodgers has lost to Rangers 3 times in his career as a Celtic manager. And the last 2, I feel like he's taken them for granted. Took Clement's tactics for granted. In the New Year's fixture, he took Barry for granted because Barry hasn't managed in the top tier of Scottish football. And the way we conceded goals at Celtic Park, the way they pressed on us, it wasn't good enough. It's about us going out and doing what we do best. Look, we have big injury news regards to Jota being out for the next 9 months, which is shocking with his knee injury. Alistair Johnston will not play tomorrow. He won't feature in any capacity. He will be hoping to be fit for the cup final against Aberdeen. Nicholas Kuhn is touch and go. Brendan said he's going to make a decision today regards to Kuhn and light training today. Daisy Maeda was in Japan during the week for the birth of his child, so he's going to feature. He should be okay. Maybe a little bit of jet lag in there. That's why you didn't train yesterday. So I'm feeling this could be a 2-1 for Celtic, or it's going to be a 2-all. And I'm going to give that Sally passed away, the cancer, at the age of 21 about 10 days ago, called Fraser. So gone across social media, this picture has gone up, and I put it on across my Come On The Hoops as well. We've been asked, can we do applause in the 21st minute for young Fraser that sadly passed away to cancer? And I'm sure Celtic fans will have no problem with that. At the end of the day, we're human beings. Put the blue tints off, put the green tints off, put the rivalry aside. We're human beings. They're not going to give us a guard of honour tomorrow. Who gives a flying F about it, to be honest? It's standard from Rangers. You just can't accept when Celtic go on to win the league and go 55 titles. 55 titles. The real 55 titles. Not this tainted 55 titles. But some fans there tomorrow. And I'm sure we go back to Odds and Edwards winner back in Mother's Day 2018 when we had the full broom long, and then the capacity kept getting cut. They couldn't accept Celtic pumping them under RODGERS' regime and then under Lenny's regime as well. So I am excited about tomorrow. I think we have to go out there early, hit them on the traps, hit the wings, you know, get an early goal, put a marker down, because look, they're going to have a lot of possession at home. They're going to try presses on the wings. They're going to cop onto this whole Celtic playing out from the back, which that killed us in the last game. I know Shemichael probably won't play tomorrow. It'd be Sinsalo. And Sinsalo has done well coming in to, you know, filling that void from Shamaika, and he's been a phenomenal understudy so far. So this is my starting lineup for tomorrow. Sinsalo in goal. Anthony Ralston will play, guaranteed play, right back. Greg Taylor could be his last derby in the Celtic shorts. And let's be honest, Greg Taylor has been phenomenal in these derbies. You know, the only time he wasn't decent in Celtic short in these derbies, you're going back to, you know, that COVID season, which is a long time ago. We want to do a Men in Black erase, clear the brain with that one. But Greg Taylor, he'll be pushing to play well against Rangers. The centre-backs, Liam Scales and Carter Vickers. I think with Trusty in and out of the team, his head's somewhere else, thinking about his wife, thinking about, you know, the child and all this. And let's be honest with you, he's a professional footballer. But I think Scales, he has to have that revenge, that redemption there in his brain, how bad he played. And look, Scales played well when he came on for Trusty in the League Cup final, but there's no point talking about previous games of how they played. It's about what they play in the day. They could have an absolute stormer in the day. I think Liam Scales, you know, you go back to last season as well. He played really well at IBROX. He held the fort. And I think Scalesy will be up for it tomorrow to make a big stance, because his Celtic career, you know, will he be there next season? Will he be there in the summer? Will he move on? I know he signed a long-term deal last season. Will we start Naroski tomorrow? Because Naroski played well in the last derby against them. But I'm going to fancy Scales in this. Callum McGregor, we missed him bad in the last derby at Celtic Park. He's been absolutely on fire in the last 3 weeks, and I think he'd be a massive part. And you know what? Sometimes I feel like, you know, I wish we pushed McGregor more forward for these games, because he scored in the opening game against them at Celtic Park, and he was an absolute unbelievable finish, well past Butland. You look at Arnie Ingles, didn't play great at Ibrox, still getting to the flow of Celtic, still getting the flow of performances. And look at, it's been a probably 6 out of 10 for Arnie Ingles so far as a Celtic signing. Rio Atate cost him a couple of threats in the last game, scored against them as well. He needs to have a big game tomorrow. Atate, when he's on fire, he's the best midfielder in Scottish football. Mark my words on that. On the left, I'm going to go for Daisy Maeda. Maeda loves an early goal against Rangers, especially at Ibrox. Maeda loves a goal. Could it be his 34th or 35th or 36th goal tomorrow? We shall see. Daisy Maeda, different energy. And I understand there's been clubs linked with Maeda, Arsenal, Liverpool, all this malarkey. And you blame, like, the guys at the scoring 4 Champions League goals this season. So the big dogs, when you're playing in the big competition, will be looking at players like Maeda. On the right, I'm going to go James Forrest. Nicholas Count is touching goal. I would start Forrest tomorrow. I think Forrest would be ideal at Ibrox. I know he hasn't never scored at Ibrox in a Celtic shirt. But starting tomorrow, if Kuhn's fit to go, play Kuhn's second half. It just depends. If we're chasing the game, you bring Kuhn on. I hope we're not chasing the game. If it's 0 at half time, bring Kuhn on. And then up front, Adam Ida. 18 goals this season. We go back to that. We thought he scored the winner last season there to make it 3-2. And then obviously they scored the Dying Embers. They thought they won the Bleeding League the way they were going on. But Adam Ida, price tag on his head. This is a big game. Obviously, we're all thankful for what he scored against them in the cup final last season. But that's last season. This is about now. This is about making a point, because that price tag at this moment in time hasn't paid off yet. It has not paid off. 18 goals. Didn't score for 15 games. Scored in the Champions League games. We thought with Kyogo going, he was going to hit the ground running, and it didn't work out for Adam. So Adam, hopefully tomorrow, will be really physical. Get in there, you know, against Proper, against Tavernier, against whoever they have. If it's suit, I don't really know. I don't really care, to be honest with you. I don't sit there and look at Rangers teams news. I just talk about what we analyse against them. But look at Ferguson will have them up. RODGERS needs to stop taking teams for granted, and hopefully we won't have a champions hangover. So my prediction for tomorrow, I'm going to go 2-1. I'm going to fancy Maeda, and I'm going to fancy Adam Ida to score tomorrow. Man of the match, it's a big one, but I'm going to fancy Rio Atate for man of the match tomorrow. So let me know in the comments what you think the score is going to be. In your head, is a dead rubber game. If you lost tomorrow, would you be pissed off for a week about it, or would you be like, you know what, we're brutal that day, move on, we're still champions? My mentality is you got to be what's even close to you, and they're not close to us. There's a big gap there, big cap, but you know, we got to beat what's put in front of us on that day, and especially a hostile environment, you want to go there and, you know, keep them quiet and, you know, have that beautiful Sunday smile, you know, have a glass on my way tomorrow and say, you know what, we did beat them in 25. We did get a League Cup against them. We did win the league, and we're going to have a trophy day soon. We're going to have a Scottish Cup final to contest, and they're not a part of it because their team is inconsistent, and we've been the most consistent team in Scottish football. So let's see how it goes, folks. Do subscribe to the channel. Speak to you all soon. Good night. God bless. Hell.